The advice and opinions expressed by the host of Autism Live and her guests are meant solely as suggestion and should not be in any way construed as child-specific advice. Any choices you make in determining your child's treatment are completely at your own discretion.
Good morning and welcome to Autism Live. I'm Shannon Penrod. We're coming to you live from our studios in Woodland Hills. I'm just noticing because I drew on my angry eyebrows today. I have more than one eyebrow pencil. Can anybody else relate? And I have one from 2 Halloweens ago when Nancy Alspaugh Jackson and I were Moira and Johnny from, what is the name of that show? And so I had Johnny eyebrows, and I drew on I used the pencil. Schitt's Creek, thank you. And I drew on Johnny eyebrows today. So I'm not angry. I just have, as Mrs. Potato Head says, I just have angry eyebrows today. And one of them is significantly higher. This one is higher than I just need a clothespin or something to hold that up. Okay, much apologies about yesterday. I'm sorry that I was under the weather, so we weren't here with Dr. Doreen yesterday, and we will make that up to you, I promise. We got some big things in the works, and we're very excited about some of the guests that we have coming up in the lovely month of December. But this morning, we are going to show 2 interviews that we were able to pre-record last week before the holiday with some amazing guests, 3 total. We've got an interview coming up later on in this show with, good morning, Susie, so thrilled that you're here. And so we have an interview that's so inspirational coming up in the second half of the show this morning, you guys, with Austin Riley. He is a professional race car driver. And his website is Racing with Autism, excuse me. And his dad is here with him as well, Jason Riley, so inspirational. And then before that, we have an interview with Megan Griffin, who is an amazing researcher in the field of autism and is working on something that I think you're all going to be a little interested in. But Traven is already, our fabulous Traven has already started showing you guys some of the places where you can be watching or listening to the podcast. You know, we are live almost every morning at 10 a.m. Monday through Friday. And sometimes we do show reruns, it is true. And we did a marathon over the holiday weekend of just Festival of Toys videos from the past. So if you tuned at any point, you saw how crazy my hair has been on and off and how much weight I have gained and lost in the last 10 years. And you also saw some really cool toys, which hopefully that was the point of the whole thing. Because our toy guide is out right now. The Autism Live Toy and Gift Guide is active right now on autismnetwork.com. Now, if you go to autismnetwork.com, it is not active on Autism Live. Autism Live still has last year's toy guide up there, I believe. At least that's what I was told. I only know what I'm told. But if you go to autismnetwork.com to see the toy guide, and if you click on where it says toy guide, you'll see a drop-down menu. There it is on the screen, autismnetwork.com/toy guide. If you go to there or just click on that first link, then it will bring you to a landing page where you get all 6 of the different categories regardless of what you want to do. Or if you already know which category you want to go to, you know you're looking for a baby toy, then if you just click and hold on where it says Autism Toy Winners, whatever it says, Toy Guide Winners, you can just go directly and click on to baby toddler and go directly to that. I keep telling you guys, I think the best way to approach it is, because it's a big guide, over 100 toys featured in it with different awards in different categories, and you don't want to overwhelm yourself, right? But I think the best thing to do is to start with what the chronological age is of the individual, not the age at which they're functioning, because people function at different levels for all kinds of different things. Like your child might be very good at puzzles, but spoken language is not yet their thing, right? So still go, if they're 7, go to the school age category and look through all of the plethora, the wide range, the spectrum of toys that are available there. See if there's something that sings to you. And by the way, you can purchase directly from there. There is a button at the bottom of each toy that if you click on it, it will take you directly to a place where you can purchase the toy, which we do as a service for you guys because you asked for that a couple of years ago. But if you don't find something in the category that's the chronological age, then we encourage you to look in other age ranges, because we tried to address the wide range of functionality that individuals on the spectrum would have within each age range. So you'll see some things in the adult category that might work fabulous for some 5-year-olds and vice versa. So do check out the other categories, but start with the age that you start. And again, that's autismnetwork.com, and we hope that you appreciate that. And you can watch. We've already started doing some of the reviews of some of the toys, and they are available to you. I encourage you, you can listen to it in podcasts, but I encourage you to check out the video when we're demoing the toys, because it's just a little bit more fun. And though we've done preliminary ones, they're all available to you on YouTube. In fact, whenever you want to watch the show, it's available to you for free on YouTube. We've been archiving 11 years of this thing. 11 years of experts, toy reviews, interviews, discussions about different issues, Dr. Doreen answering questions. Traven is reminding you right now and reminding me right now that we encourage you to subscribe. Now, there are a couple of different places that you can subscribe, because there's a lot going on these days, right? You can follow us on Facebook. You can like us on Facebook. You can do all of those things. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel, and then you will get notifications when certain videos are uploaded. But also, when you visit autismnetwork.com, if you're there for even like 6 seconds, a pop-up will come up and say, would you like to subscribe? I really want to encourage you to do that now more than ever, because we have restarted our newsletters, and we don't like to waste your time with the newsletters. We really don't, because I don't like to open email unless I know that there's something good in it, right? So we just sent out the first newsletter, and it had a code that you could use if you were buying the Shishibo, which is one of our favorite toys this year and last year. During the break, I'm going to go get the Shishibo and play with it so you guys can see what I'm talking about. Amazing toy. Top toy last year, top toy this year. And it's great for all kinds of age ranges. A really fun toy, and our kids are really good at it. And if you need to put something in their hands that will make them happy and keep them occupied while you've got something else going on, like cooking dinner, pick Shishibo. And we sent you a coupon code for, if you were ordering the Shishibo, for money off of the Shishibo. And we expect to be doing that with more toys in the month of December. So really want to encourage you to be signing up for that newsletter. If for some reason you already signed up for the newsletter and you didn't get it, please make me aware of that, because I like to know if things have gone awry. Sometimes if it's just, the dot in your comm got messed up, we want to fix that so that you can get the good stuff, right? The good stuff. Okay, so I mentioned that we've got some great interviews for you today. I'm really excited because we've been sitting on these interviews for a little over a week. And the first one that you're going to see right now, let me talk first about the second one. You don't want to miss that. Don't go away, because it's one of the more inspirational interviews that we've done. To hear this young man, Austin Riley, talking about what his early life was like, and hear his dad talk about how, things were not good. At school, things were not good at home, and how they found Austin's thing. And it's just amazing what his thing is, because he likes to drive over 100 miles an hour. Who would have thought that? Who saw that coming? Right? Not me. But he's a professional race car driver, and he's winning, and he's setting new records, and he's representing our community in a way that is absolutely inspirational. So you're not going to want to miss this son and dad talking about what they're doing and how you can participate. If you want to, your family can have a puzzle piece on the side of his car as he races, which is a pretty exciting thing, right? And it's not cheap. him racing. So we all want to support him. But up first, we have a short interview with Megan Griffin, and she is a professor. Megan, excuse me, I knew that and then I didn't say it. It's not Megan, it's Megan. Megan is a professor at Whitworth University, and she does research, and she's got a new research project that I think is really going to strike a chord with you guys. Some of you that are watching are really not in the ABA camp, and you know that we welcome all opinions here. We really do. Everybody knows my opinion that good ABA therapy, it can be very beneficial and that saved our lives. Just keeping it real, right? But it's got to be good ABA and it's got to be mindful ABA. And I am well aware of the fact that there is lots of ABA that's out there that is neither of those things. But Megan has got this new research project that I encourage all of you, if you fit the criteria, to participate in this new study, because I think it's way past time for this. So we're gonna go to that interview, and then I'm gonna be back in between the interviews to address any comments or questions that you guys have. But check this out, Megan Griffin. Welcome back. We're so excited that right now, for the first time, we're welcoming Megan. I was going to say Megan. I schooled myself that I was not going to say Megan. It's Megan. Her name is Megan Griffin, and I'm so excited to have her here with us to talk with us about a very exciting project that she's working on. So first of all, Megan, welcome. And then let's start by you telling the folks at home who are watching a little bit about you and the kind of work you do, and then we'll talk about this exciting project. How's that?
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for having me. This is just such a treat. I am an associate professor of special education and applied behavior analysis at Whitworth University, and I also coordinate our ABA program at Whitworth. And I do all kinds of things. I've done research in ABA, and a lot of my work has also centered around probably some of the most meaningful projects that I've done have centered around listening to the voices of self-advocates and responding to those expressed needs and concerns. And so those have been the most meaningful projects I've worked on is in my time in academia. And I have a new project that I'm really excited to share with your audience.
Yeah, I'm going to stop you for just a second, because even when you started to say, you know, I work in the field, I'm a professor for ABA, you know that the audience went like this, because there are people who love ABA and are all excited about, oh, we have an ABA professional here, and then there are people who don't like ABA and who went, oh, you know, I don't agree with that, and they're very down on ABA. And it's really, there seems like there are two distinct different stories. I haven't heard a lot of people who are like, oh, ABA, I don't really have an opinion, that know about ABA. So when you reached out to me and said you were working on this project, which you're going to tell people about, I was like, this is great. So tell them what it is that you do and that you're doing.
Yes, well, so it's a really polarizing topic for good reason. And so, you know, essentially the backstory of this study is that I've been in ABA for a while now, and I would say probably for the past 5-ish years, 5, maybe 7 years, I've become increasingly aware of some of the concerns that people have about ABA. Mm-hmm. Because I was trained in this field, I knew a lot of the great stories. Like, for example, Shannon, you've had a great experience, and so you talk pretty openly about that. But I've become aware over the past 5 to 7 years of some of the really hard and challenging experiences some people have had. And that just isn't sitting well with me. And I thought, we need to learn more. We need to do better. And so the best thing that I thought we could do was to actually listen more to the actual clients and consumers of ABA in order to get a better sense of what is working really, really well, you know, for example, in your family, Shannon, but then certain things that have been painful or harmful for certain people within the autism community and the broader community of folks who've received ABA. And I want to hear it all. I want to hear the very, very good to the very, very bad and everything in between. And my goal really is to just help center the voices of consumers in this discussion, because if you look to the research, a lot of it is driven by the professional voice, and I'm wanting more to bring the consumer voice to the forefront with this study.
So you are hoping to interview pretty much anybody who would like to be interviewed on this subject, but you do have a couple of stipulations that for this particular study, you want to be talking to people who are over the age of 18. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yeah. So absolutely. So you do need to be over the age of 18, and you do need to have received ABA services at some point in your past, or currently, if that's applicable. And you have to be willing and interested in participating. Anyone who participates will receive a $20 gift card to Target, just to make sure that we're thanking people for their time and participating in that way, kind of donating their expertise in that way. I know that for some people who have had hard experiences, talking about that may not sound very appealing, and I certainly understand that. I don't want anyone to feel re-traumatized. So any questions that I ask, participants are fully able to answer as many or as few of the questions as they want. So it's all, at the discretion of the participant, the level of input they give.
Okay. So, and I hope that everybody hears this and that you spread this information to the people that you know in the community, that if there's somebody you know who has had the experience of going through any amount of ABA, that what Megan is looking to do is to tell all of the stories. So it does not matter whether you are a huge champion or you are somebody who is very staunchly in the category of that this is not okay. I love this, Megan, because I always say if somebody is saying that, it's for a reason. They have something to say. And I love that the ABA community wants to know, so that if there is something, there's not just an assumption of, then what the person did has nothing to do with what I do. They're wanting to know what was traumatizing about it, because then it will help to identify if it is in fact something that has nothing to do with ABA, because we all know that there are people out there doing wrong, calling it ABA, but it's not, right? But that in some circumstances, I know, for instance, that Emily Grodin, in the book that she did with her mom, who's an adult now, who was nonverbal at the time, now says, there were two things that I didn't like about ABA. It was boring, and I didn't like that they were in my house. I go around and tell ABA professionals that all the time, because I'm like, that's good information that you should know, right? Don't be boring. And yeah, come on. And that some individuals see their home as a safe place, and they would rather have it at a center or an office, not in their home.
Feedback, and that's the sort of thing that I'm hoping to gather, and I'm hoping to document for our field so we can get better. I'll tell you, I have been lucky enough to be welcomed into different communities like Facebook groups and different places where people kind of freely and honestly air their concerns about ABA. And I've been learning a lot from those folks. But what makes me sad is that not everybody has access to that knowledge. And what I'm hoping to do is document this sort of formally, in the literature, so that we can go forward and say, look, these are the practices that are getting us amazing results, and people are happy with how the goals that we had and the procedures that were used and the outcomes. And then I also want to identify those things that, were harmful, painful, not okay, and make sure that that is broadly getting to practitioners, but also the people who train those practitioners.
I love this. And I know that the question is going to be asked, well, if you're an ABA professional that is, and if you consider yourself not neurodiverse, are you really going to be able to put this information together in a way that's fair? So talk a little bit about, because you're not doing this by yourself.
Yes, I'm not doing this by myself. Really intentionally, I have partnered with this amazing autistic BCBA named Dr. Mari Cerda, and she is just an amazing advocate for ABA consumers and autistic individuals and their rights. And, I also just want to, I've done other studies that are similar to this. So I've gotten a lot of questions about this and sort of where I'm coming from, what my agenda is, what's my positionality, basically. Yeah. And I want to make sure people know, I get a lot of questions about like, oh, who's funding this, for example. So I want people to know that this was funded by a small grant at Whitworth University. It's not funded by an anti-ABA organization or a pro-ABA organization. This is just a passion project that I've taken on. I applied for some internal funding. I was awarded it. And I'm using it to try to center the voices of people who don't normally get heard in this discussion. So trying to amplify those voices. I also want to say that, I am a person that, although I don't have autism, I have other conditions that are invisible to many people, medical conditions and mental health conditions. And so, although I don't have autism, I want people to know that I'm bringing that to the table as well in terms of trying to be able to be empathetic and trying to bring a diverse team with Dr. Cerda as well.
I love this, and I love that you're asking the question, and I also want to say to anybody who is on the fence about this, about reaching out and talking with Megan, that this is a great opportunity. One of the things that I'm fond of saying is that if what we set out to in the beginning was to make sure that you had a way to communicate, then we as a community have to listen to what you say when you communicate, and however you communicate, right? And you guys are, there are many of you who are out there communicating and saying you don't like ABA, and here is a perfect example of somebody who is saying, I'd like to listen. I'd like to listen, and not only that, I'd like to document it so that the world can see a range of stories, and that she'll be talking to people, anybody who wants to talk. So have your voice be heard in this, whatever your story is, whether it's that you like ABA, whether it's that you had a hard time and why you had a hard time. That is important information, and we should all be learning from it. If our hearts are really going to be in the right place, of course we would learn from it. So don't be shy. Where should they go, Megan, if they're like, all right, I'm going to take her up on this, and I want to be interviewed?
So I'm sorry, I'm hearing a little bit of feedback.
Okay, you're okay. Go ahead.
I'm going to ask you to put a link in the show notes, if that's okay, that they can click and just take them to an easy way to schedule the interview. Also, if anybody wants any more information, my email address is mgriffin, Griffin, at Whitworth, WHITWORTH.edu. And I would just say, truly, even if you don't want to participate in the study, I would love to hear from you. If you have an opinion you want to share with me, or a concern or a question, I would absolutely love to hear from you. I'm passionate about this and I want to learn. So I just so appreciate the platform and the ability to reach more people with this opportunity.
Thank you so much, Megan. I think this is an important project, and I can't wait to see what you come up with. I think
Oh,
we'll
thank
all
you.
learn from it. So you'll have to come back when you have your completed, compiled everything.
Will
Uh,
do.
and we will include where to go to be interviewed in the show notes. Megan, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to be here with us to talk about this. And we'll have to have you come back and talk about other things.
Oh, thank you so much.
All right. You have a wonderful day.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. We're going to be back after these messages. Welcome back. I'm playing with my Shishibo. I've got it into an interesting shape here where it's peacock on one side, lilac, and whatever on the other side. And during the next interview, I'm going to try and get it into the shape of a cube. So this is how this crazy thing goes. It's just amazing. So much fun to play with. This is the Shishibo. So I hope that you guys will participate in, and I see, Miriam, that you're asking for the email in the text, and thank you for sharing. And do we have that, Traven, that we can put it in the text? What the email was that Megan left there, we will try to do that for you. And we'll give you updates because I think that there's a website too. In any case, our next interview, and I told you don't go anywhere because this is like the most inspirational thing I've seen in a long time. We've got two amazing guests. Austin Riley and his dad are joining us. And this is a really no-holds-barred discussion about how they discovered that race car driving was his destiny. I'm going to be with you when we come back at the end of this, and hopefully I'm going to have this back into a cube. Let's see. The race is on to see, can she do it? But check this out, Racing with Autism, and hear how you can help to support them in their endeavor, which is to get to Europe and be racing in Europe. So check this out, and I'll be with you on the other side. Welcome back to Autism Live. I'm very excited right now because for the first time on this show, we are welcoming Austin Riley and his dad, Jason. They are with Racing with Autism is the name of it?
Correct.
And the website is racingwithautism.com.
Most certainly.
Okay, so we've got a lot to unpack here, but we're very excited and want to welcome both of you for being here. Austin, I'm like impressed. I feel like I'm here with racing royalty because you are someone who broke all kinds of world records this year. You are an amazing car driver, but you also identify as being a person that, what are the words that you say? Do you say that you're on the spectrum? How do you like to phrase that?
Spectrum, yeah.
On the spectrum. So, but you know, first and foremost, you're a race car driver. It just happens to be extra exciting and a wonderful inspirational lesson for so many of us in the community to have someone who is such a highly skilled, winning race car driver who identifies as being on the spectrum. So Austin, I don't even know where to start, you guys, but let's start with the beginning. How did you discover that you are a world-class race car driver? Because did you just steal the car one day and show dad that you can drive it over 100 miles an hour and be trusted with that? I can't imagine that that's how it happened.
The way I got into racing was actually by my dad. So
you did hand him the car keys, Dad? Is that what happened?
No, it was well before he was legally able to drive. He was almost 8 years old and having a really hard time in school for being different. As most kids have great difficulties. He was an easy target for bullying. The amount of days he came home missing an article of clothing because somebody took it off him, thought it was funny for him to walk home with one boot or one shoe, or were many. And
I'm so sorry.
Things with Austin, you know, every day we'd open his school agenda and there'd be a massive note about what happened that day. And unfortunately for Austin, you get to listen to hear his mom and dad give him, you know, a hard time over how school had went and make things even worse. And Austin really found the only comfort in life was in his room playing video games and didn't really want to do anything outside of that. And
Wow.
as a parent, we tried to encourage Austin to get out into the world, not listen to people say that he couldn't do something. And we tried various activities from soccer to hockey to pretty much anything. And one day we got a flyer in the mail, of all things, about a go-kart program at a track that wasn't too far from our house, and thought maybe Austin's love for cars would turn into a love for driving. And I can remember the first time we went, it took me about 4 weeks to convince him to go, because he was convinced that he sucked at everything in life. And if he went, people would make fun of him and he would get upset and we'd have to come home. And it was only after about 4 weeks of me continually nagging him that he said, you know, I'm going to go just to shut you up. I'm only going to do one lap of the track and then I'm coming off and we're going home.
Okay. So Austin, I just want to say I'm sorry. I'm sorry for every time that somebody bullied you. It just makes me want to put my head down and cry. But man, are you showing them now. Tell me about what that was like the first time that you went around the track one time on a go-kart. What was that like for you?
It was fun because I didn't come off, so I knew right there it was life changing.
The amazing thing is, after the first lap, Austin wouldn't come off, and when they waved the checkered flag for his group to come off, he wouldn't come off either.
What was going through your head, Austin? Was it just, this is great and I'm going to stay?
Well, I really didn't know what the rules meant either.
Of
I didn't know
course. Why would you know? Of course.
All he knew is he was having the time of his life, and I had to go out on the track and make him stop. And at that point in my life with Austin, I was in, it was a breaking point. My wife and I were having a lot of trouble at home with Austin, you know, because of school, and we differed in opinion on how to help him, how to discipline him. It was really hard. And at that moment, when Austin wouldn't come off, I thought this was another failure. And I walked out on the track, and all I could hear from other parents behind me was like, "What's wrong with that kid? You know, why doesn't he listen? You know, where's his mom? Where's his dad?" And I made a decision myself as I walked onto the track, was I was going to let Austin have it, and I was going to embarrass him like he was embarrassing me. And when Austin stopped in front of me, I saw the biggest smile inside of his helmet I'd ever seen. And I couldn't really yell at him because I was too busy crying. And I knew at that point that we had found something. And from that moment, it's been an unbelievable journey how motorsports has given me the son I never would have had. It's given him acceptance because he's judged on his abilities on the racetrack and not his so-called disabilities off the track.
Yeah. So, man, what an amazing, you guys have me crying here. Were you afraid that you were going to get yelled at, Austin, or did that not even enter your head because you were having such a good time?
I was having a good time. You were hoping I would know where the brake pedal was.
Yes, I was certainly hoping that it wasn't going to turn even worse. So as I stood in the straightaway blocking it, that Austin knew where the brake pedal, because he hadn't used it to that point yet.
And was it just that you had this innate ability that you understood how to, like, because I got to tell you, I'm not a great driver, and to go around those turns, you know, how old were you at that point, Austin?
Only like 7.
Oh my goodness.
How many times did you spin out though?
Well, like 10.
Well, more than that.
Okay.
He wasn't very good, but he was having the time of his life doing it.
Okay. So good for us all to know that maybe, because I was thinking you just had this amazing talent right out the gate, but you just loved it. So you kept working at it and you got better and better at it, it sounds like.
Yeah. He wanted to race in that afternoon's race, and I think he finished second last, but it would turn out that race was the only race that he missed the podium the rest of the year.
Wow.
and I think he finished like third overall at the end of the season, and he was by far the youngest. He was only 8 years old, and the two kids that beat him were 12 and 13. It's
Wow.
kind of then we started to realize, well, maybe there's a little more to this. The way Austin was wired seemed to be perfect for that kind of activity.
So I got to ask this, Austin, because I know people wonder this, but is it just as fun when you're racing if you don't win, or is it really extra fun when you do win?
Racing's fun regardless if you win or lose.
Got it. I love that answer.
As a dad, one of the things I'm most proud of when Austin comes off track, you can't really tell whether he came 21st or first.
Wow.
Because it's the same demeanor. He has the same smile. He's doing what he loves to do and what he says he was born to do.
Yeah.
And my wife and I do everything we can to continue this train and this journey. So he's not only inspiring, his parents, but he's gone on to inspire, thousands of kids worldwide to start racing with autism. And
absolutely.
It's been staggering.
So let's fast forward a little bit now, because let's talk about where you are now. How old are you now, Austin?
I am 23.
23. And you're not racing go-karts anymore. Tell us what kind of car you have and that you're racing.
I'm racing what's called a Radical, which growing up was the car I've always wanted to race.
Okay, what does that mean for those of us who aren't race savvy? What's a Radical?
It's like a miniature Le Mans car. It's like a prototype car without a roof.
It's a Oakman cockpit. It's capable of 150 miles an hour, significant downforce. It's a full-on race car.
Okay.
15 years ago, would you ask me if Austin would ever be capable of driving something like this? I would say there's no chance.
Right. But he is, and he's winning. So you've had a record-breaking season this year. You've broken world records. Tell us about what's been happening and why people need to be paying attention, because you're tearing it up.
Yeah, I won. This is now my 4th championship I've won in the Radical. In 2 years.
3 years.
In 3 years.
Wow.
And now I get to go compete in the UK next year, which is going to be probably the highlight for our team.
Yeah, but just one race, though.
Just one race.
Wow.
So in 2020, Austin won the Canadian Radical Championship. He backed that up again in 2021 by repeating the feat. And a much bigger challenge has been this year, racing in the U.S. Radical Series. Mostly tracks Austin had never been to before, against much bigger fields, multi-class racing. For him to win the championship in his first year in the series with the smallest team in the paddock with the smallest budget, not only to win the class championship, but to win the overall championship has just been unbelievable. I've been watching.
It's a big deal.
Pardon?
It's a big deal.
Yes, it's phenomenal. It's really a major achievement for this young man, and the amount of inspiration he has given to other kids that are coming behind him in motorsports and in any other type of activity that have autism, that Austin gives them hope to believe in themselves. It makes me very proud.
Yeah, I think we're all proud to have this time with you, Austin. But you were saying to me before we went on air, Dad, that this is not an inexpensive activity. I'm sure that it wasn't even when it was a hobby, but now as a profession, it's a pretty staggering. I don't know if I'm allowed to say some of the numbers that you were saying, that every time you go on a race, it's a sizable amount of money. It's like the equivalent of almost a year in college.
Yeah,
every time you race.
It's a significant commitment, and every level that Austin has gone up the motorsports ladder, it gets more and more and more expensive. And when you're just like trying to stay awake there, Sparky.
We're boring him.
Yeah.
It's okay. I love that smile.
When
So,
you're when you're a small team like us and operating on a small budget, we don't have test days at activity. Like for us to travel from Canada to Texas, that's like a big commitment financially and time wise. We don't have. We're not able to go down and test for a few days and come back before it's just not possible.
well, and you got to move the car.
Yeah.
I mean, like from a very logistical standpoint, you have to get people and the car there, and everybody has to be housed. And you were telling me about the cost of tires and fuel, and we all know how much gas prices are. We can only imagine when you're going 150 miles an hour. And you brought up, because I don't think that would have occurred to me, when you're going 150 miles in the car, it's important that everything is working properly. So, you're testing things on a regular basis. So it's a lot. But there are many different ways that people watching can help support you. First of all, if they go to your website, racingwithautism.com, is it .com or .org?
.com.
.com. I imagine that there's a place there where people can donate, yes?
There's a donate button right at the top of the homepage. We have a store with Racing with Autism merchandise. We've just been released today that every year we sell puzzle pieces that go on Austin's car. So you can buy a puzzle piece and get your name on it, or your family's name, or your business that helps Austin continue to race. Obviously, there's corporate sponsorship packages available. Austin has some tremendous corporate sponsorship that have helped them get this far.
Well, say them. Let's shout out and then see who wants to add on to that list. But who are some people you'd like to thank who've been sponsoring you?
You want to have a go at this, or?
No, I can't remember.
There is a lot. Austin's title sponsor is Spark Power, a Canadian company that operates in the U.S. Lincoln Electric is Austin's next biggest sponsor. They are a global company. They've been Austin's supporter since he was 13 years old in go-karts. Probably our longest serving sponsor, and we'd be lost without them. Haggerty, an insurance company for classic cars. We have just welcomed an Australian-based sponsor, ACL, a US-based company in Wisconsin, Nesco, Addie's Army, which is an autism charity in Alabama. Who else am I missing? Forest Contractors,
Six Sigma,
ATC Corral, Six Sigma, which is like a sim racing company.
FEL Motorsports,
Braden Motorsports, Hammond Manufacturing. These guys have all been part of our team for a long time, except for additions. But as I keep saying, as we continue to move up the ladder, the costs continually increase with that. And
yes,
when you're looking at a racing budget of over $200,000 for the next year for Austin to race.
And we got to get you overseas for next year, for 2023. We got to get you over to Europe so that you can race. What will be where will the race be, and what's the date of the race in 2023?
You want to explain?
I get to pick one race.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, because he won the overall Radical Championship this year, Radical is a UK-based company. They have a Radical Cup in the United Kingdom, as they have Radical Cups series all over the world. Austin is given the chance to race in the UK as part of the factory team, and he gets to pick one of 6 races he will be racing in.
Okay. Have you decided yet, or is it public knowledge which race?
We haven't decided yet, and the reason we haven't decided yet is the U.S. Series hasn't published their schedule yet. So it's our plan to race the U.S. schedule again and take another run at the championship. However, we'll
in a different class.
We'll be moving up Austin to a bigger engine class.
Okay.
So we've got to wait for the U.S. schedule to be published before we can commit to the UK race because we don't want any conflicts. We don't want him to miss a
Sure.
race
Yeah,
uh,
of course
for
not.
the championship
Okay.
points.
Well, let us know so that we can help promote. And I want to know when and where you're racing so that we can tell our viewers for next year. So when you guys get your 2023 calendar, let us know and we'll make sure to let them know. But let's
There-
talk a little bit about
there
that.
is
You have a, oh, go ahead.
Yeah, there's a race. Tentatively, it hasn't been announced yet, but I think the final race of the season next year will be at Laguna Seca in Monterey.
Oh, Monterey, California, you're talking about?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm in Los Angeles. How about that? But we want to talk about some of your different social media sites because people need to start following Austin themselves so that we can all stay tuned and know what's happening. So talk to us about some of your social media sites and ways that we can follow you because I know that you're on all of them. I would have them if my computer were working, but it's not. So talk to us, Dad, or Austin. Tell us where we should go.
Facebook, Twitter, Instagram.
Okay.
So Facebook is Racing with Autism, Instagram is Racing with Autism, and Twitter is Racing Autism.
Racing Autism. Okay. Fantastic. We will make sure that we're at Autism Live. We're following you on all of those different sites.
There's also a YouTube channel, Racing with Autism, and for 2023, we're going to be adding a lot more content on that. A local filmmaker is donating 12 months of his life to help us tell our story, to help get Austin's story out to the masses.
Amazing.
Much more than just one old man being the one-man band. It'd be help.
And next month we head down to Alabama.
Yeah, we have a charity gig in Alabama next December 17th for Addie's Army. Special event at a racetrack, Barber Motorsports Park, where the charity invites families from all over Alabama to bring their children on the spectrum, and they get to ride around the track in exotic cars, classic cars, and Austin's race car.
I love it.
It's pretty awesome as a dad to watch. For me to put in a young man or daughter, young man or young girl in Austin's car, and just see the look he gets, like, he has autism too, and look what he's doing.
Yeah.
It sparks something. There's something magic about it, and it makes me really proud to see that.
Yeah.
And really looking forward to get back to Alabama on December 17th.
Amazing. I think everybody who's watching who has kids on the spectrum is going go-karting this weekend. I think you're going to start a trend. Everybody's going to be like, oh, I wouldn't have thought of that, but I'm going to take them and do that. Austin, go ahead.
I get so many emails and messages on our social that find Austin's story and say, okay, that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to put my son or daughter in go-karting. I always say this: do they like cars? Do they like driving? If not, it's probably not for you.
No, I think this is something very special to Austin, but it's worth a try. It's worth a try. Because if it is their thing.
For Austin, the way his brain is wired, the way his sensory system works, racing brings so much joy to him, because Austin is hyposensitive to touch. He likes a lot of force in the world. So the faster he goes, the more force is created, the more calm he is. The seatbelts he has to wear in the car are very restrictive. The helmet's very tight. The race suit's very tight. The G-force the car creates are extreme. And all those things together make Austin very calm. Sitting beside...
You like that, Austin. You like that?
Yeah.
That's amazing to me. I was going to ask... Go ahead, finish.
Sitting beside me, he's nervous and anxious and just wants to get things over with. In a race,
we're almost done.
it's like the polar opposite. For you and I to be going as fast as he goes, we become more anxious the faster we're going. He's the opposite. He becomes more calm and relaxed.
Isn't that amazing? Because I was going to ask you, Austin, I get car sick on a bicycle. I am someone who was never meant to move. Although I'm constantly in movement, I like to be stationary. Like, I can't ride the merry-go-round at Disneyland. I get car sick on the tram at Disneyland. I am just not meant to be, I can't go skiing. It's moving too fast, right? So I cannot imagine. I think I've been in a car when it went 100 and I cried because I didn't like it so much. I don't like being in a plane, but you absolutely love going that fast.
Yeah, I love going that fast. I love driving on the road too in general. Like I just love driving, period.
That's amazing. I think people in our community need to hear that because it feels like we've had a little bit of a revolution in the last 10 years that more and more people on the spectrum are driving. But you must be aware of the fact that 10 years ago, the presumption was that if someone you loved was diagnosed on the spectrum, they likely would not drive. And to see that someone who is doing so well at the level that you're doing it, that the expertise that you're showing, and you happen to also be on the spectrum, that's giving a lot of us a lot of hope, Austin. A lot of hope.
Yeah. Yeah.
The funny thing is, when he was 16, 17, 18 years old, Austin had his national race car license, but didn't have his actual driver's license. So I still had to drive him to the track.
And now I have my driver's license.
Now he has his own driver's license. He has his own car. He has he does food delivery. Our local town. So it's. Is
it boring to drive slow though?
No, as long as you got a manual car, it keeps me busy.
Okay, so you like manual.
Yeah, I drive stick shift.
Okay.
Yeah.
My son is 19 and he's just starting to drive, and he keeps wanting to buy a car that's stick shift, and I keep telling him no, but you prefer that.
I only buy cars that are stick. I won't drive an automatic.
Interesting. Yeah. All right.
He only buys cars. He only has one. He's only ever had.
But so is your race car is also stick, or is that?
It's paddle shift.
It's paddles. It has a clutch to get the car moving, but after that it's
but my road car is a manual.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
Austin's first race car was fully manual.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what's the end game here? What's the race that if you get to race in your life, it will be the biggest excitement? What's the one you're hoping for down the road?
What am I hoping for?
You told me, dude.
What's the big race that Austin wants to run?
The IMSA series.
So there's IMSA series is probably a step or two up from where he is.
Okay.
IMSA is like one of the biggest sports car series in North America, if not the world. Multi-class racing, so prototypes, sports cars, all kinds of stuff. Austin's always dreamed of driving a prototype car. He definitely has the skill.
Yeah.
For Austin to race in that series, or even just a one-off race like the 24 Hours of Daytona or the 24 Hours of Le Mans, those are all been long goals for us that if Austin could ever get to that level, sponsorship and have backing to make that happen, that would be, again, making history, because it's never been done by anybody on the spectrum to this point. Wow. And I can't think of it.
Here's the thing. You're going to do it. You're going to do it, Austin, because you got something special. And it's just such a pleasure to have you here. And I know we made you wait a little while, but I appreciate you so much for taking the time, because you're a busy young man. And I appreciate your dad. It seems like you get a lot of support from your family to do this amazing thing that is your passion. What an amazing, amazing family you guys have. We wish you the best, and we hope that somebody sees this who has a business or knows somebody who has a business or is an executive that works for some big company who would love to have their name on the side of your car. I can't think of a better way that they could show the world that they're supporting autism and those on the spectrum than supporting you in your efforts to go all the way. So thank you.
I appreciate that greatly. And, just looking at Austin's objectively, not as his dad, for somebody doing what he's doing with what he has to face every day, is extraordinary. For him to just be competing at the level he's competing at is extraordinary. For him to be a 4-time champion in 3 years is unbelievable.
Well, he's extraordinary.
I am staggered that no company, no massive company has got behind Austin's story and said, this really the world needs to see this. And that's no disrespect with our partners that we have now. We would not be here without them.
Yeah.
But
somebody big, I understand what you're saying. Somebody big should take advantage of this, and they will soon. Yeah. Your story is too good, you guys. They will. I guarantee you. Put money on it. I said so. It's going to happen because you're doing all the right things. You're doing all the right things. And I just want to say, Austin, that you are extraordinary. You're an extraordinary young man, and I'm sorry that people didn't always recognize that. But how amazing is it that they're recognizing it now, and you're shining a light down a road that a lot of people are going down, and making it possible for other people to follow behind you. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
I appreciate you. See, and you got me all teary-eyed. It's all gonna happen for you guys. I know, because you're doing all the right things. Like I said, I appreciate you guys taking the time with us. Please keep us posted. We're gonna follow you on all of your different social media sites so that we can be the first to hear as you guys continue. And Austin, you continue to just break records. But keep us posted too, all right?
Yeah.
All right, much love. Thank you so much. Bye-bye for now.
Thank you. Thank you.
We're going to take a short break, and then we're going to be back with more Autism Live after these messages. Stick with us. Isn't that inspirational, you guys? I so enjoyed talking with all of our guests today. Make sure, I just saw on, because I'm following them on Facebook now, that over the Black Friday weekend, they opened up, they're selling the puzzle pieces that go on the side of his car. You can sponsor him right now. So go to Racing with Autism. Did you see? I got it into a block. This is the Shishibo, and I super love this. If you were subscribed already to our newsletter, then you got a discount coupon. So basically you crack this thing open, and look, it does all kinds of fun things, and you can make all kinds of other shapes. And I'm not great at it, but it's a good time, you guys. A super good time. So definitely check it out. And that's the Shishibo. If you got the newsletter, then you got the coupon code. If you didn't get the coupon code, you should sign up for the newsletter. So, because you can get a certain percentage off of a new Shishibo, and they come in all different colors. They're really super fun, you guys. So let's talk a little bit about the rest of this week. So tomorrow we are going to replay our second episode of Let's Talk All the Things with Rachel and Shannon, where we made holiday vegetable trays, and it was a pretty hilarious show. So that will be tomorrow. And then on Friday, Stories from the Spectrum. And then we're back with all new programming next week. So that will be really exciting, including a Let's Talk Autism with Shannon and Nancy that will be happening next week. And we will have Dr. Grampy back. And we've got some exciting more things to talk, Festival of Toys, and more things to help you to get through the holiday season, because it's not always easy, right? But hopefully you guys had a good Thanksgiving week, and we're all recuperating from it, myself included. So I just wanted to take a second and say that, again, that I'm grateful for all of you and grateful for you tuning in. We will be back tomorrow with Let's Talk All the Things with Rachel and Shannon, excuse me. And until then, please give your kiddos a hug from me and one for you too. Bye-bye for now. If you found anything helpful in this video, please give us a like. In fact, make sure that you smash that subscribe button on YouTube and give us a like on Facebook. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Instagram for important updates. And please download our free podcast wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you so much. See you next time.